guys, on this episode of R&D Garage, I'm finally going to give you guys the clarity of what we've been fighting with the Mini. I constantly have you guys asking, well, where's the VTEC Mini? How come you're not, driving it this summer? What's going on with it? Like, what exactly is happening with the VTEC Mini? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and describe that now. Okay, here's the short version. The kit we bought for it back in the day through a company called MiniTec, where I'll get to them in a little bit, but they were basically the sole provider of kits to make the VTEC Minis put togetherable. Let's put it that way. I'm just going to use my own terms at this point. Okay, the issues we were having, the last issues we seem to be having, because the whole kit, putting the whole kit in was not fun to begin with, and I'll get into that a little bit later. There's going to be a whole lot of, we'll get into that later. Am I pissed already? I'm pissed because I'm talking about the Mini. Okay. It's going to be a great video. Okay, but the main thing we're dealing with now, after all the other stuff we've been put through, this is the last issue. Okay, see, this is the spring. Well, the spring is gone right now, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, and here we have the control arm. When we first got the kit, we kept breaking CVs, and we were like, what the heck is going on? When we first got the kit, it was supposed to mount right here. This is where we mounted it. And we noticed when we put it on the Mini, it sat too low. Like the spring was a little bit too low. It would just slam it down. I mean, it was not good. And we noticed later, in later kits, they actually have a bracket like right here, and then it mounts right here up top, so it's a little bit straighter. And so we were like, okay, at the time we bought our kit, maybe they were basically giving us both new parts they had worked on, maybe to fix the issue, along with old parts that created the issue. And so that's kind of our take on it. But this was just a little bit of intro, and now I'm going to delve into it. Okay guys, time for the legalese. Now, I'm going to be saying a lot of things about the company MiniTec that we bought the kit from. Now, these are my sole opinions. These are Dion's opinions. Maybe you have the same opinion. Maybe they've been great to you, and your opinions are totally different. But again, these are our opinions based on the parts we received and the zero communication. So again, don't sue me. These are my opinions. Now, when you're doing kind of a crazy build like the VTEC Mini and you get a kit for it, obviously there's going to be a few growing pains. You know, other people have done it before you, and maybe there's a lot of talk on forums knowing you're going to have to trim some areas, knowing that maybe some of the fitment is going to be a little off, but it's still easy to fix. It's only when it comes back to the main components, such as springs, control arms, that kind of thing, where it doesn't seem to fit whatsoever. That's when you start to go, what the heck is wrong with this? Is this me? Am I doing something wrong? And then you figure out, no, you've been doing it right all along. You know, especially if you've got like the mechanical sense and this isn't your first rodeo. You start to realize and delve deeper and go, why exactly does this not fit? And then that starts to get into the back of your mind. Well, if this doesn't fit perfectly, even with trying everything like we have, I'll tell you about it in a second, but it gets in the back of your mind, like, how safe is this build? Like, am I going to be traveling on the freeway and stuff's going to happen? And yeah, okay, so that's where we're going to now. So I know exactly what you're thinking. Why did you guys call the manufacturer of the kit, explain your problem, and see what they could do to fix it, especially if they were coming out with new parts? Well, see, therein's the rub. They would not return calls. Once your parts were purchased, your kit was purchased, that was the end of the relationship as far as they were concerned. Dion tried every single number they had, nothing. Email, nothing, 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 nothing. And so a few years ago, there was still maybe not a whole lot information online to do with VTEC Minis. The last couple years, it's been a little bit easier, but since there was no basic information, nobody could really help us out, we tried to fix it ourselves. We tried bigger springs, tried heavier springs, longer springs. The last thing we tried actually in the last month or so was literally 400-pound springs. The Mini does not need 400-pound springs, and obviously, as you can see, it didn't fix the problem anyway. But what The only, I guess, good thing about this whole situation is we were able to finally troubleshoot what the problem was, and to get there, well, I mean, it took us a long time, but now I think we've finally licked the problem. So here we go. So basically being on the forums took us down the rabbit hole. We finally, I guess, maybe for us, started asking the right questions. One of the people on the forum saw our picture and was like, well, that's weird. Mine isn't connected there. My spring and strut isn't connected to the lower control arm like that. And Dee was like, well, can you send us a picture of yours? I was like, of course. And so what he had was basically 2 tabs, cheap tabs like that, and it was connected through those. So of course we're like, okay, that actually makes sense. There's more clearance, it doesn't ride as low. But now our problem was we only have 2 of these, you know, 1 for each side. And so we can't screw this up. We can't just, you know, keep welding tabs on hoping it fits without being perfectly measured out, because I mean, obviously you guys know you don't want to keep welding something, taking it off, keep welding back on, keep taking it off. It just makes it a weaker part. So this is what we did next. Okay guys, so as we delved more into this kit about wondering, okay, what else are we going to have to fix before we solve this issue, we realized a few things. They really cut corners on this kit. Okay, so first, the bolt goes in here, you know, and moves around. So obviously, you know, they need a couple of spacers so it doesn't bottom out. Well, okay, the spacers they use, the shims, they're lightweight. They're super lightweight. It's not something you'd want on a car. They're not even deburred. And I'm not just being petty. Like, this is what they literally gave us. It's like someone just took a shim, cut it in half, called it a day. The bolt itself, if you're using a bolt for something like this, and it has grooves, that's a wear issue right there. That will eventually wear out. And yes, car parts eventually wear out, but this, it just seems not a real good idea. So, okay, we can fix that too. Moving on. Okay, funny thing about the bolt and the size of the head diameter to the space of the ball here, it's actually smaller. Now, racing sanctions do not allow this, because if you were to bottom out, if this were to wear out completely, your suspension is going to hell in a handbasket and you're pretty much toast. And so what we're going to do to fix this, obviously we're going to swap out this so it doesn't have the grooves and everything first, but we have basically this safety washer. So you can see it's almost like a collar. I'm just going to call it a collar bolt because that's what it looks like to me. But you can see the diameter is larger than the head of the screw. So if anything bad happened, you can see it's not going anywhere. It'll stay in there. So at this point, we have the must-haves. Basically the new bolt, no grooves. We've got the collars, the safety collars, and so I can put those on. And we've got just the nylock screw, or the nylock nut, sorry. So we can put, son of a... And so now we know that this needs to fit through these 2 right here. So what did we do next? Okay, so what you could do is actually try to measure everything before, you know, finding a solution. Now, measuring everything in this sense, you know, you've got to hold it really, really carefully, maybe have someone else hold it for you, but it can be a big pain in the butt. And so what we did was we decided to 3D print a bunch of solutions, which worked out great for us. And so as you can see, that's a large hole in there. We still want to have a bolt through there just to kind of keep everything together. And it's a lot easier to weld something on there because it's got like a point where it can actually hold on to. And so what we did was actually fashion a couple different solutions, like I just said. So we can go from the back, we can go towards the front, or we can even go towards the middle. And so I'm going to show you a couple more right after this. So we have a Prusa printer, and so we're able to actually make these, print these out for a little less than 10 cents each. It has been a lifesaver. As you can see, we printed out a bunch of different options for this. And obviously, these aren't gonna take the full weight of the car lightly, like it's not gonna happen. But using a jack stand, you can see if it's gonna line up properly at all. And so that's exactly what we did with each of these until we came to the one where it's like, I think that's gonna work. So here's our prototype. We test fit, we made sure there was clearance from all the tools we were using that was kind of made into it. Basically now, this is what we came up with. And we're thinking we probably solved the problem. So what we're gonna do is take this to a buddy of ours. He's gonna actually weld it up for us, and we will come back to you soon with the news that hopefully it solved the problem. So this basically is the long, dragged out story of how MiniTec was not a good company to work with, and our long battle and struggle of fitment and everything like that. So again, let's hope this solves the problem. I'll get back to you soon. And the files that we used on the printer to cut out the demos can be used to actually laser cut steel. It's the same file, so you can send it off to the person. So that's exactly what we're going to do.